can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time.
How's it going, guys? We're back with some more the Stanley Parables 2. If you watched the last one, it was pretty brilliant. Pretty fucking brilliant, mate. But we're going to go ahead and start a new game, and we're going to follow instructions this time. And I won't skip the intro for those of you who haven't seen the first one, in case you want to see it.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor next to his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on a monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and walked out into the hallway.
All right.
Stanley decided to go to the staff lounge to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
All right. It's a good idea. Really good idea. All right. Now we're Mr. Narrator. He's a dick narrator, though, secretly.
As Stanley entered the lounge, he was horrified to find not a single person here.
Where's
He
everybody?
decided he would walk up to see
What
his
is this
boss,
shit?
hoping that he would find an answer there.
What if I go back? Can I go back? What if I don't want to? No, I have to. Where is everybody?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Fuck you, boss. I got nothing to say. I'm leaving. I'm getting a new job.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, of admitting that he had left his post during work hours.
Oh,
He
yeah,
might be fired
okay.
for that. And in such a competitive economy, was it really worth taking that risk? All because he believed everyone had disappeared? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Maybe I am crazy.
Everyone I know simply vanishing out of the blue, there's almost no other explanation for it. And a nagging fear began to creep up in his mind. Questions that had been there all along. He just hadn't put his finger on them yet. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him whenever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Was he just walking around in circles? Where am I, he thought.
That's awesome.
And the more he found himself unable to answer these questions, the more questions continued to arise, until he came to the issue that had been slowly boiling until he could ignore it no longer. Why is there a voice in my head, dictating everything that I'm doing and
Get out of my head, you asshole!
Suddenly, every door slammed shut. No, Stanley screamed. I need to get out of here. I need to know that there's something out there. I need to know it's not just all in my head. And he screamed and clutched at his skull as the voice grew harsher
Oh my
and the
God,
music
what
in the
the
background
fucking
rose
is going
higher
on
and
here?
higher.
I want
And
out
then,
of here!
moments before collapsing to the ground, Stanley clenched his fists and screamed to anyone who might be listening,
I need
"I'm
help!
not real! I'm not real! Don't believe any of it! None of it's real!" And then everything went black.
Whoa. It did?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She got dressed, went to work, clocked in, clocked out, and then she walked home. But her walk on this day was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Moments after seeing him, she would turn, run to the nearest police station, and call for an ambulance. But for just a few brief seconds, she merely stood there, unable to move. The tragedy was not the death of a single person. It was that she would never know this man's story, never hear in his own words what had happened to him, or what he believed had happened to him. For to know these things would be to exist inside the head of the man himself. So all she could do was observe from a distance and pity him.
Oh, that must have been me.
But Mariella
earlier.
had places to be and people to meet with, very important people, whose impressions of her would affect her career and indeed the rest of her life. She stood there for only a moment, looking down at the body, and then she ran.
That's... oh, okay. It's still a pretty cool mod. That was cool. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. I'm sorry it's pretty short, but maybe next time we'll go ahead and see if we can find something different to try. Alright, you guys take it easy.